You need to know the name Sia Weaver. I think it's Sia, maybe it's Kia, maybe it's Chia. I'm not spending too much time saving her name in my brain. But this woman is becoming very powerful very quickly, and she is an unbelievable danger to society. And no, I am not exaggerating. There's a reason that her videos are going unbelievably viral everywhere, because she is saying some crazy, crazy things. And why? Does it matter that this woman's saying crazy things? Well, only because she's been brought in by Mamdani to run one of the most important departments under the New York City mayoral thing that they have going on there, the housing department. And she is saying things so insane that it just reminds us that the Islamization and the communism movement, they come hand in hand, and there's a reason that they come hand in hand. But this woman is out there, despite having tried to clean up her ex so that nobody would find the evidence. She is out there claiming things like, we need to take the houses from the whites and distribute them elsewhere. The content is crazy. Now, Mamdani has proven himself to be an absolute joke in the last few days. I don't know if you've seen this video of him going viral.
What we are seeing, I had a New Yorker the other day come up to me and ask me if there was any way I could help him get World Cup tickets, because he was saying that the cost that he saw for a game was $600, right? This is increasingly out of reach. We have made what used to be a working class game into a luxury experience. And there are too many for whom...
Okay, so basically Mamdani is saying that one of the things that he wants to do as mayor is help people be able to afford tickets to football games. Sorry, soccer games? I think that's what it is. Football games, because, it's so unfair that it's become a luxury. And we know his strategy is that he, despite the fact that he has absolutely zero jurisdiction to have to do this. I mean, it's not even happening in New York City. I think it happens in New Jersey. Despite the fact that he has no jurisdiction for this whatsoever, he's kind of pandering again to this economic thing and saying, we don't think it's fair that the economy operates this way, and therefore we're going to do things to help. Now, if you think that the priority of the New York City mayor should be making it cheaper for people to go to soccer games or football games, you've got something coming. But this is not the craziest thing that's gone viral about Mamdani. It's actually this new woman that he has hired, because she is batshit not mentally with it. The things that she is pushing are so unbelievably crazy and dangerous for our society. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. I wish I could have like a funny, happy, upbeat mood about this. I think this is so dangerous. The only good news of her crazy statements that we've got, and we have so much evidence against her, it's unbelievably damning. A woman collected all of her tweets that expose her true positions. We'll go through all of them today so that you really know what you're talking about when somebody brings this girl up, is that because she's so unbelievably crazy, people are seeing all of this for what it is. Again, an Islamic and communist takeover, happening hand in hand together. The most anti-Western thing that you can imagine happening in New York City. Again, not a laughing matter, but let's just see, to begin with, why this woman grabbed so many people's attention.
I think the reality is that for centuries, we've really treated property as an individualized good and not a collective good. And we are going to transitioning to treating it as a collective good and towards a model of shared equity will require that we think about it differently. And it will mean that families, especially white families, but some POC families who are homeowners as well, are going to have a different relationship to property than the one that we currently have.
A different relationship to property that we currently have. Does that make you feel a little bit alarmed? Now, I would say, okay, she's just a dumb girl who has no idea what she's talking about, but she's actually got a plan, like a proper strategy. Before we watch this video and before we watch the even crazier things that she's saying, like calling for schools to become places of resistance against the government. Yes, you heard me correctly. And some other wonderful things that she has been saying. Make sure to hit that like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe button. Share this with one person that you know, and hopefully we can double our impact. We're trying to hit 100K to push back against the insane things that are going on and to expose this person. I personally find a lot of inspiration in Nick Shirley, who, using his platform, exposed crazy fraud and brought enough attention to it that something actually changed, and now Tim Walz has stepped down. I'm hoping that we can do something similar, because this woman and these mentalities and these policies are so absolutely insane and dangerous for New York City. I cannot wrap my head around it. Let's just watch her idea for how to do this.
At $5 billion, we hope to be able to set up and staff the agency, but also build new housing across the state, as well as acquire distressed housing. across the state. The mechanisms for acquiring distressed housing could look different on a building by building basis. In some cases, what happens is tenants form a tenant association, they have a scofflaw landlord or someone who's not making repairs, and they could pressure, using organizing tactics, they could pressure to the Social Housing Development Authority to take over their homes, to buy their homes. In other cases, it might happen through like a legal process. A couple of days ago, one of the most notorious slumlords in the city, his name is Shalom. He was arrested because he is treating his tenants so badly.
Okay, I can't actually listen to this. I want us to review a second for this, okay? Because this is an X thread that was done by Michelle Tandler, who is clearly very, very thorough and good at what she does. A few months ago, I dug into Sia, I think her name's Sia Weaver's Twitter history because she was Mamdani's housing advisor. Remember, Mamdani's ticket is that he's going to make everything much, much cheaper in New York. That's his whole thing. I had a hunch she might get a position on his team. Well, she did. And she deleted her X account accordingly. However, I took some screenshots. Let's dig in. In 2018, Sia said, there's no good such thing as a good gentrifier. Only people who are actively working on projects to dismantle white supremacy and capitalism and people who aren't. Okay, I think we have a pretty clear idea of the fact that this is a woman who has fallen for the woke victim mentality. And I'll tell you this, if you want to succeed financially and if you want to build something out that's economically functional, you don't want to be a victim. You need to be somebody who's willing to fight and work really hard, except for she thinks that the world is divided into people who dismantle white supremacy and capitalism and people who don't. For context, this woman was just elected by Mayor Mamdani to be the director of the newly revitalized mayor's Office to Protect Tenants. According to New York City government, the revitalized Office to Protect Tenants will serve as a central coordinating body to defend tenants' rights, stand up to landlords, and ensure city agencies act swiftly on behalf of renters facing unsafe or illegal conditions. Okay, so what are her beliefs? Number one, public housing for everyone. Instead of blaming folks for not having access to a mortgage in a rich neighborhood and all that comes with that, we could tax the rich, invest in the public good, stop all evictions, and fund stable public housing for everybody. Happy Mother's Day. She thinks that we should be providing public housing for everybody in New York City. Rent control and public housing for everyone, you guys. Massive government interventions to solve gentrification. I agree with you unless you're talking about rent control, which is a perfect solution to everything, okay? She believes that rent control is a perfect solution to everything, and it's a more effective way to shrink the value of real estate than reduce rezoning applications, which have a mixed results, okay? So she thinks that we should be shrinking values of properties. New York City, a place that people have invested in for years and years and years and have built their wealth. She thinks we should just take that wealth from them and make public housing. And just in case you missed that, yes, she wants to shrink the value of real estate. Next up, views on white people. Believe it or not, she doesn't think that whites are the best thing in the world. This country built wealth for white people through genocide, slavery, stolen land, and labor. White supremacy built the North and the South. Okay. Private property, including and kind of especially home ownership, is a weapon of white supremacy masquerading as wealth building public policy. Which means that if you're somebody who happens to be white and has worked for many years to buy yourself a home in New York City, you are actually a weaponized white supremacist. Did you know that? Did you know that? Gentrification narratives are pretty tired and not helpful anymore. Gentrification is caused by rent-seeking developers, landlords, and policymakers that enable them. It's part of a century-long process of white supremacy in the housing land market. The rules are designed for white people. New white residents are going to benefit as the whole city planned around their interests. The rules are designed for white people. The Manhattan Institute legitimizes white supremacy. In the meantime, new white residents are going to benefit as the whole city is planned for their interests, right? Because the way New York City is designed is if you have a white skin color, it's going to be easier for you to afford a house than if you have a black. What is she talking about? Saying hi or not saying hi to your neighbor does not do that. White nationalism is a disease and it is killing us. I am super inspired by the DSA. Do you guys know who the DSA is and how bad the DSA is, the Democrat Socialist Party? Association. They are literal communists. You have to look up the DSA and the work that they have done to bring in Mamdani. They are the worst of the worst. They are the new SJP. They are this new kind of young terrorist organization. In no complicated facts, check out Canary Mission. They did a massive expose on this. The DSA are terrible, terrible anti-American student people. It is just absurd that she looks up to them. Also, endorse a no more white men in office platform. Why would we have white men in office? Impoverish the white middle class. Home ownership is a racist, failed public policy. Really, I need to repress the desire for revenge right now. I wish I believed in God so I could believe that all men who take credit for women's work and all white men could take credit for the work of women of color would one day burn. I just came across a mob of an 11-year-old white boy children rapping Eminem very loud in Windsor. I don't know why we keep procreating. Are you listening to what this woman says? I wish I believed in God so I could believe that all men who take credit for women's work and all white men who could take credit for the work of women of color would one day burn. She even wants white people to stop reproducing and be banned from planes. Delta should kick out all white people in Xmas outfits off of planes. In addition to hating white people, she's a passionate socialist. I think we can and should raise expectations that we all live in green, beautiful public housing. Okay? Your home that you work for, that should be hers. I'm not convinced that stopping development after development builds our movement or advances socialism like rent control does. Okay? Now, keep in mind, Sia works for Zoran Mamdani, and he wrote, people often ask what socialists mean when we say we want to decommodify housing. Basically, we want to move away from a situation where most people access housing by purchasing it on the market and towards a situation where the state guarantees high-quality housing for all. Now, Michelle posts this saying, questions on top of mind. Does she work effectively with white people despite her views on them? Does she see home ownerships as having any validity in building wealth? Does she really hope we will all live in government housing? Does she have thoughts on the Constitution? Here are more and more and more and more and more and more and more videos. I couldn't believe some of the stuff that I was reading. This is the person who's coming into New York City to basically say, look, this is what we think. Everybody should be living under government housing. And we're willing to take away housing from white people. I mean, besides the fact that it's so unbelievably blatantly racist, I really, really hope that this kind of content exposes her and hopefully gets her demoted. But I just want to show you one more thing if you weren't mad enough already.
We should really look to what Brandon Johnson and as well as the Chicago Teachers Union is doing to really use the schools and the city as sites of resistance against a federal incursion. If you're comfortable in your coalition, you're not winning power. If ICE and the National Guard are coming to New York City, ICE is already here. If the National Guard is coming on January 1st, which we know they are, we really have to use our tenant associations and our parent-teacher associations and our public schools as like networks of defense in support of Zoran's agenda and in support.
Did you hear what she just said? She just said that we should be using schools and grounds and parent associations and our tenant associations as a way to defend against maybe a government incursion or ICE incursions. This woman is off her absolute rocker. And this is the person that Mamdani has brought in to run the tenant housing thing. This is the problem, okay? This is the problem. When you say we don't like Zoran Mamdani, for some reason, people have made it about like Jews and anti-Semitism. And yes, we know he's a raving anti-Semite, pro-Palestinian, whatever. But it's so much more than that. It's about Islamization. And they use communism. They use the fact that they're going to take away your basic rights. Every person in New York City right now is worried about their home. Now, does he have the legal abilities to do this? I don't know. But the fact that they're so blatantly confident in their position and the fact that the media is going to cover for them and no one's going to call them out, that they could have chosen somebody who writes this kind of things, like I think white people should burn and that they don't deserve to have homes and it should all be public and that we should be using schools to fight against ICE and to fight against the government. That's how confident they have become in their abilities. And this is why we cannot and we shall not stop talking about it. Mamdani coming into power is an example of what they have planned for everywhere in the world. Islamization is here and they are using communist ideologies to do this. They are selling it to young idiots being like, yeah, wouldn't it be nice if we could all afford to live together in New York City? New York City is a privilege and a right if you have wealth to do it. Not everybody can afford it. It's okay. Go work really hard and then hopefully one day you'll be able to afford it. That's how it works. Now, am I somebody who's super happy about the fact that cost of living is high? No. But do I think that this is the solution? That you take away homes from people? That you say statements like this? I mean,
I think the reality is that for centuries we've really treated property as an individualized good and not a collective good.
property as an individualized good and not as a collective good, i.e., you own a home. Sorry, it should be ours. This is unacceptable. 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 And we should all be raging about it. Thank you for your attention to this matter.